Okay, so this is Ozzy's first ride. We're going to do 30 minutes. I mean the first ride in training since we tested him. The microphone should be working this time. It was my technical error last time. So his warm-up today with the tack on in the snaffle bit and with the saddle on, because we had some rain last night and it's a little bit slick on the lower side of the arena. We just walked 15 minutes each way on the small circle. That was a very good warm-up for him. And then I'm just asking him to bring me the saddle, checking that he's nice and relaxed. And then let's see what we've got. My hope for today is to actually ride him on about the same size circle. And he's just trying to move away from the mounting block a little. He might be negatively anticipating what we're going to do. My hope for today is to ride him maybe on the same size circle we've been doing the long reins, if he can handle that. It'll just be at the walk today. So ears are on me. He's nicely relaxed. He's just a bit weak and wobbly through the hindquarter. So I'm just going to play with some gentle turns and see what he says about me balancing myself on his instability. So like when I turn him left, he pushes up a lot on the left side. Right, so I'm just going to do an easy figure 8. When I turn him right, oh, yep, you can really feel he doesn't want to use the right hind. Again, I'm going to let him pick his speed. If he wants to walk slow, that's fine. If he wants to walk a little faster, that's fine. Yeah, so he wasn't too uncomfortable. He's a little hesitant on the right turn. Oh, hopefully the pivot followed me. So it's nice if he's lengthening his neck already. He's sort of getting stable enough. Oh, and there's a butterfly on the phone. It might fly into the camera. He's getting stable enough through the rotation and the alignment elements of the spine. That's what causes him to let go of the neck. So again, the circle or the turn is gently keeping the engagement. And I think what I'm going to do, because we made sort of 2 circles on the long reins, is I'm just going to loosely follow these same size circles and see if I alternate back and forth, if that doesn't put too much pressure on him. Because I want him to use the hind legs, but I don't want him to get resistant or unstable. So there's a lot of rocking in the saddle, a lot of rocking through the pelvis. Seems to have a little more trouble with the right hind, so we're going to put the whip on that side. And I'm just going to, if he wants to stop a lot going to the right, I got to trim these trees. That's okay. I just want him starting to place the hind legs a little deeper underneath and learn how to balance on them. Yeah. Again, I'm not asking him to slow down or even have a rein contact. If he falls forward, long and low at this stage of the game is better than upside down and high-headed. So I'm just letting him do that and sort of using the turns to help him get his hind legs under him and using my weight to help it get stable. Yeah, so I may just film, because I really don't feel, it doesn't feel like there's issues for me to really work through. This is just a beginning rehab ride. He's calm, he's attentive, he's doing the best he can. So all of this instability, the stopping, a little bit faster, a little bit slower, even the rooting on the reins, all of that is physical instability. He's not being naughty at all. He's just challenged in his stability through his back and hindquarter. So he's sort of barely stable enough that he doesn't need to push the back down and shorten the neck, but he falls forward quite a bit, and that's the rooting on the reins. So I'm just not giving him anything to lean on. I'm not giving him any resistance through the reins. I'm giving him the resistance through my seat. And just like the long reins, I'm careful to sort of give direction one rein at a time, just to help him make the turn, and then letting the turn place the hind legs a little deeper until he figures out how to use them. So this is pretty much it for the ride. I did a half an hour walking on the long reins on a circle as the warm-up. I'm going to do a half an hour of this. But again, I just want to show you mostly the starting point, and then each time I video, the starting point should look a little better and a little better. But he's not resisting my guidance at all, and he's getting more relaxed. He's struggling to find his coordination and his stability. So all of the wobbliness, all of that is 100% physical. He's trying as hard as he can to work with those little arthritic hocks. Yeah. So that's just 5 minutes. I may keep this video pretty short, 10 or 15 minutes, so you can watch how he does. But he's unstable enough and struggling enough. I'm definitely just going to work on this big, easy figure 8 today with his neck as straight as possible, and really try to get the under the saddle and the hindquarters more stable, less rocking, less tightness. Now, if he had a pain issue, and he did start his equiox last night, but if he had a pain issue, his behavior would be getting more anxious, more tense, more resistant. He's really following what I'm asking him to do very, very well. But you can see it's a bit wobbly, it's a bit shaky, there's a lot of falling forward, there's a lot of pushing on the bit. All that's fine. We're just going to do a little bit of bodybuilding today. A little bit of change the coordination, a little bit of bodybuilding. For 30 minutes today will be his ride. And then I probably will stick to this routine, a warm-up on the long reins, and depending on the footing, we're supposed to get rain this week, his warm-up on the long reins will involve trot if it's possible to keep chipping away at improving his trot work from the ground. It will at least involve a warm-up at the walk without me on his back on these smaller circles, bigger circles if he's trotting. And likely this week I will keep the groundwork half the time and the riding half the time. Because the groundwork he's doing well enough that without weight on his back, I don't need to necessarily change how he's moving, which is really the biggest benefit of riding them, is to change how they're moving. He's moving okay on the long reins, so that just eases up the work on his muscles since he works every day that I'm home. I don't want it to become too much or too tiring. I would rather just have steady progress, steady muscle building without him getting fatigued. good. And it will take at least 30 minutes for him to get a little bit more stable. When he's using those hind legs, you can really feel the instability and the weakness through the hind legs and the hindquarter, which is why the long and low just has to be part of it right now. As he gets more and more stable under the saddle, I can play with transitions, I can play with different size circles, I can play with a little bit of rein resistance to start to get him to lift his back. But right now we just have some very wobbly, unstable hind legs, riddled with arthritis, so I don't want to ask for too much too soon. I just want them gently working and doing their job again. Ooh, lots of missteps. We'll have plenty of those. And he's not hesitating so much on the right turns now, which is pretty good. He still wants to push up a lot on the right side, especially on the right turns. And that's just him not using his right hind leg. But I think if I stay on one direction under saddle, at least today, it feels like it might be a bit much for him. I think changing direction, hind leg to hind leg, is just a little bit less confrontational to his body for this ride. But I think I started to say this week that'll be his program, so I may not do another video for 4 or 5 days. Because it's going to take at least 4 or 5 days of maybe, if he improves a lot, I'll start to reduce the percentage of time in the long rein on the ground warm-up, and I'll increase the percentage of time of the ride. Or it might remain sort of 50% of the time on the ground, 50% of the time under saddle, just depending on how he responds. Like if he starts to get resistant or worried by the end of today's ride, that tells me, or if he loses forward, that tells me 30 minutes is about his max. Right? If he just keeps humming along like this for 30 minutes, then I'll split the time equally tomorrow. And if that goes as well, then I'll start to increase the ride time where we can really build a little bit more muscle. So that's 10 minutes. I'll show you another 5 minutes. And we'll just kind of watch his process. Like I said, the first training ride, like when I tried him, he was pretty good and he responded to my guidance to change his balance without getting worried. And that's the main thing that moves him along faster, is if changing the coordination doesn't scare them. If it scares them, you have to adjust, slow down, take it at their pace. If it doesn't scare them, you can just gently keep working on it, which is what he's doing. So I'll give it another 5 minutes, I'll stop the video, and then I'll keep working him for the rest of the 15 minutes we have for today. But you see, I offer no resistance to the rooting on the bit. And if he loses his balance a little, I'm just taking one rein, turning him a little bit, helping him regain his balance. But you can kind of tell he can get a little strong on the bit, like he doesn't really mind bit pressure. So I'm not going to give him anything to lean on. So when I let the reins slide, when he tries to push on the bit, he's falling forward. That's what makes horses heavy on the bit, is just they don't control their own body weight. So I'm just showing him in today's ride, I'm not going to hold him up. I'm not going to prevent him from falling forward. That's something he's got to figure out between his back and hindquarters. Right? It's for him to control his body weight, not my hands. I hope the phone's still following me. I think so. Oh, good. Okay. So, about 2 more minutes. Whoops, makes 15 minutes. He's also going to have lots of missteps, adjustments, even spontaneous chiropractic adjustments as we go through this process. So, for sure, through the next month, I probably won't be trotting him under saddle until he's more stable. I'll keep improving the trot with the groundwork, but as wobbledy as he is, when he starts to change his leg kinematics and use his back differently, at the faster speeds, you run a little bit risk of tripping as the legs are adjusting. But like I said, we'll see how he goes. Don't know until I get on. I don't know until I see how he came out today. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So let me stop there. Oops, that's enough for the video. Good boy. I'll keep riding him another 15 minutes, and then I'll probably do the next video in about 4 or 5 days.